Hey! Is the noon train on time?
Supposed to be.
Feels like it's time.
Fair enough.
BBN Jack Fruits. What's up, party people? How's everybody doing? I'm hoping everybody's having a beautiful day. We got a lot to talk about. First thing I want to say is this, and I want to be clear. Over here, a lot of the conversation that we have, a lot of the things that we talk about, we preference it through the Bible. So what I mean by that is, if you come into our comment section and you're saying things, and whenever I respond back, I'm gonna try my best to wrap it in the knowledge that I have or that I use in my everyday life, and that has to deal with the Bible. So I'm saying all that to be clear about a couple of things. And the number one thing I want to be clear about is we do not worship Satan over here. In no form and in no way. We cannot be Democrat. We cannot be liberal. Now, with that being said, today we are I'm moving this thing over here so I can see the titles. Today we are going to be discussing how the wars end and world leaders praise Trump, and specifically we're going to be talking about how the liberals are pissed off about this. I want to be clear about something. I want there to be zero misunderstanding. It wasn't the liberals that was running around talking about they are Hamas. It's the liberals, right? To this day, they're still running around with the kafifi. I don't know how to say it, but they still running around with the symbolization, the symbols that Muslim culture uses, the Arabs use. In I don't know if I should say Arabs or Muslim, because I'm pretty sure that I wouldn't be surprised if there's people who aren't Muslim that has one of those. I'm not Muslim. My friend gave me one. Like, literally. So there's people that have them and they are not Muslim. So I don't know where we supposed to draw the line at. In any regard, what up, Hip Hop Love? In any regard, we had people running around talking about we are Hamas. Let me tell y'all what Hamas did after the ceasefire. They went and executed Palestinians in the street. Now, allegedly, just so we could be clear, they executed Palestinians in the street after the ceasefire because they had to give back the hostages. Why were these Palestinians allegedly executed? Because allegedly they were the ones that was helping, and either helping the Israelis, I'm not sure, or helping with the negotiations, I'm not sure. But in any regard, they were people who Hamas deemed were helping who Hamas deems their enemy is. So all of you liberals, you're on the wrong side of history. I just want to point this out. Every other nation on the planet praises Trump. And you're going to say, no, but there's countries that hate Trump. Did you hear what the hostages said? They had a hostage that was interviewed. This happened around right after the election. The hostage said that Hamas was hoping that Trump lost because they didn't want to have to deal with him. They deemed Kamala Harris to be soft, malleable, able to be manipulated. That's what they deemed. But I think there's a little bit more to that. I think these people, Hamas specifically, consider the Democrats allies. I think Hamas considers the Democrats of America, the liberals, allies. I got a question. So we have all of these college campuses talking about free Palestine. Well, Palestine's free. Where you guys at? I don't see y'all praising Trump, who the actual leaders that were behind the negotiations that brought an end to the Israeli-Gaza conflict are praising Trump, saying that this could not have been done without Trump. Where the Democrats at that been clamoring all of these years? They've been begging and pleading. They've been like, free Palestine. Where they at? I need an explanation. All of those college students that was attacking Jewish people, which made zero sense to me. That's the equivalent, in my opinion, of a black guy in Canada doing a terrible crime and then somebody seeing me in the street and attacking me because of this crime that this dude did in a whole nother country. It makes no sense. This is the level of intellect that the reigning Democratic Party uses to manipulate their voters. Now, once again, I'm not crapping on the voters. I wish you guys wake up. Right now, we're talking about the activists specifically because I also believe that a lot of those people that's protesting ain't even American. I think a lot of them are like from Canada and from other countries, and they flew them in, and then they making them do stuff, and they paying their room and board, and they spending millions of dollars. I want to point something out real quick. I don't want to lose this point, so let's mention it right now. Why, when President Trump said, we're going to find out who's funding these organizations, about a week after that, maybe 2 weeks after that, Black Lives Matter is suing George Soros for not giving them one of their payments. Are y'all paying attention? I don't think people are paying attention. I'm going to explain something real quick for everybody that don't get it. Right now, what the Democrats are actually fighting for isn't illegals, but they can't say what they're fighting for. If they do win the fight, there will be money given to illegals. Don't get this confused. But what they're fighting for is their slush fund that they use to pay protesters, to pay agitators, to pay people on the internet to go after bloggers and go after this. That's what they're fighting for. For the people that don't get it, the Democrats use government funds as a slush fund. Them losing this particular battle defunds almost their entire party. Sometimes I'm talking, right? And I'm saying a thing. And this doesn't happen that much here no more because people don't comment as much as they used to. But in my regular everyday life, sometimes I get into a conversation with a person. And if it becomes political. And I try not to talk politics in because the majority of the people that I do know and I actually interact with, I'm friendly with, I like. Some of them are Democrats. Some of them are liberal. And the energy that I'm getting from them is they want Trump to fail because they don't want to be wrong. They don't care if people die. And these are literally good people. But because their mindset is so busy thinking, I don't want to be wrong, they're not thinking about the other consequences of what's going on in the world. Y'all guys is running around talking about free Hamas, you are Hamas, all of this other stuff. Hamas just murdered, allegedly, executed in the middle of the street, Palestinians because they had to let the hostages go. Because a peace was met. I need for y'all to understand what's going on there. I'm going to tell you something else that's absolutely insane that the liberals said. So, Gaza's like flattened. If you ever seen the Bronx in the 80s, Gaza's worse. Hold on. We got internet over here. Hold on. First thing I'm going to show you is I don't know what I should put. So this is what Gaza looks like, right? These are images of Gaza. It needs to be rebuilt, obviously. And in order for it to be rebuilt at any reasonable amount of time, I guess this is kind of how it looked before it was destroyed. Like, this is what was going on with Gaza before it was destroyed. It looked like it's a nice little street, buildings intact. And then now this is what it is. So Trump was talking about how he's going to bring developers from around the world to help rebuild Gaza, which is the right thing to do. Literally. And the Democrats use that as a way to attack him. He only is doing a peace deal because he wanna build buildings over there and make money off of the Palestinians. So I just want to make a real quick reference to something. Why every time a mayor wants to get elected in New York City do they always talk about they're gonna make new housing? I get it. A ton of people aren't going to get the reference that I'm making. One of the ways to improve the value of real estate is to fix it up. So when Trump says that he's going to come in with developers from around the world and they're going to make Gaza beautiful, why wouldn't you want the people that live in Gaza to have nice housing? Why wouldn't you want them to have clean streets? Why wouldn't you want their destroyed buildings to be rebuilt? This is liberal logic. The Democrats have lost, will lose, will continue to lose, and will see very few wins over the next, I don't know how many years. And the reason is they just go against whatever Trump is for. So all Trump has to do, and this is literally what I believe he is doing, is listen to the American people. What do y'all want? Oh, y'all want crime off your streets. Not a problem. Where should we start? Let's start in D.C. And then you literally have liberals arguing for crime. What have we been saying on this page for the longest? One of the main things that I talk about over here whenever we're discussing crime. I point out this. Democrats need for us to be in poverty. Tell me a democratic solution that they have that isn't for a problem that they created. That's one. Also, tell me an agenda that they have that isn't to save someone. So they need us to be in poverty. They need us to be killing each other. They need for our neighborhoods to be dangerous. They need for people to be scared so they can have the solutions. And this is why when I speak to people who have obvious TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, or I think we have to come up with another term for people who are just overly loyal to the Democratic Party. Sometimes I try to point out that please don't choose the Democratic Party over God, because that's what a lot of people are doing. I had a conversation with somebody and I pointed out how the Democratic Party pushes a specific agenda that's against God. And they said, well, that's only one thing, but you don't get it. Because they push that agenda, you can't be pro them. Because by being pro them, you are anti-God. You literally, it's one thing to say that person has a mental health disorder, they need help. That's compassion. It's another thing to say that person, has a not understanding or not wanting to admit that an individual has a mental health problem because you want to be compassionate. That's not compassion. Allowing someone to live inside of the delusion that they can be whatever gender that they want to be is not compassion. I've seen a lady say, arguing with some dude on the internet, and her whole thing is that if you don't believe that a man could be transgenders exist, then you're immoral. When the Bible says it's immoral for a man to try to be a woman or a woman to try to be a man. Do you understand how they're trying to change the world? Not for the better. So let's talk about the interactions with Trump real quick and those politicians. Why is every world leader either scared or fascinated with our president? You want to know? I'm going to tell you why in 2 seconds. Many of our world leaders have been fighting against this liberal movement for years, even before they became the leader of whatever country that they're at. On their come up, they've been fighting against liberals. This is what y'all don't get. Over here in America, they have convinced you guys that the world hates Trump when it's the complete opposite. I can't even express to you how often I've spoken to somebody who is not from America, and all they could think about is, or whenever not all they could think about, but whenever the topic is rendered, their position is they wish their country had a president like Trump, or a prime minister like Trump, or a leader like Trump. Go talk to somebody that comes from a communist nation and ask them about our government. So you could get a better understanding about world events. Trump has ended about 7 wars, including a war that they're saying is 3,000 years in the making. And our leftists over here spent more time cheering for the death of Charlie Kirk than cheering for the freedom of Palestine. Something to be mindful of. What are they gonna protest at the colleges now? I'm curious. Palestine is free, right? So they got to go back to the Ukraine thing. They got to go back complaining about Ukraine. He better fix that problem. So just so we could be clear, Trump's done fixed about 10 or 15 problems since the beginning of his term. He ended about 7 or 8 wars, right? He fixed the border issue, right? He's sending police into cities and, pardon me, he's sending federal officers into cities to help the police, making those cities safer, right? That's like 10 right there. Why do the liberals campaign to have illegals brought back to the country? Criminal illegals brought back to the country. Campaigning. What was his name? Gilmore? Albrado or something? Campaigning to bring illegals who were trafficking human beings back to America. But a war just ended and they quiet. You know how many hundreds of lives, thousands of lives are saved every single time a war ends? Why are the liberals not up? Yeah, Palestine is free. I think that's what the conservatives should start doing. They should say, you know what? We got time today. They should go out to some of those protests that the liberals are doing and have Palestine is free signage. Palestine's free. That's what they should do. So y'all couldn't cheer for the hostages that were saved, liberals? Because Trump did it. So we've been bringing morning coffee back. And I've been talking about some of this stuff. And we've been having these conversations and these discussions. Right? So it is what it is. But I want to express something. I'm over here touching stuff. I want to express something. And I think that this is something that, you know, topics, whatever, that we need to embark in, because we have a serious mental health issue in America. And I think the social media obviously linked to many of the problems that these individuals have when they're just not in reality. When you ask people why they hate Trump, they're just going to say platitudes. And then when you say, you know, give me an example, they're just going to repeat a lie. And then when you explain how that was a lie and they can't say that thing, then they're just going to say, oh, he's just a racist. Then you say, how is he a racist? Then they're going to say lies. You understand? Some people you cannot talk to. So I want to say something real quick. I want to explain real quick why I personally believe some people you can't talk to. So, shout out to the Most High, glory be to God, Jesus is King. I am fortunate. I am highly praised. Pardon me, I'm highly blessed. And I highly praise the Most High, just so we can be clear. I'm highly blessed. I wake up every day and I am so happy that my God is the one and true living God. And so when you start deciding that the Bible isn't just words, you start recognizing certain things. And often when God has his hand on you, you just, in my opinion, obviously it's just my opinion, there's certain clarity that you just have in certain situations. And it's not about being right and it's not about being wrong. I just want to be clear on this, because I'm not saying you just automatically know what's right and you automatically know what's wrong. I'm saying you just have certain clarity in certain situations. There's just things that you aren't going to do, and there's just things that you are going to do. I would not ever, and we just got to be clear about this, I would not ever cheer the death of a man, especially a man that was attempting to bring people to God. I would just, what kind of insanity is that? People have removed God from their lives. And it's just obvious. So what I mean by I'm just not going to do this, or I am going to do that. There's just certain things I am going to do and certain things I'm just not going to do. Sometimes it's small, sometimes it's big. But that makes me difficult to individuals to deal with, because I'm thinking for myself. Now, I need for you to understand, our biggest problem in society is that many people feel like they can't think for themselves. They pretend like they are, but they aren't. What's happening is somebody else is saying something that they might admire, and they're taking on that characteristic. Somebody might do something that they might admire, so they take on that characteristic. They try to add that to their bag. And so now you are not an individual. You are a collective. I give you a real good example. It's like when somebody just agrees with another person because y'all from the same demographic, but you know the person did wrong. God don't like that. We're supposed to agree with God, period. Not first, period. Whatever God is on, that's what we're supposed to be on. I look at people sometimes and I'm like, they're like, they got a hard life, or they don't like something that's going on. Like, we all at times or periods in our life are unhappy with the circumstances that we're in, or the outcomes that are happening. It happens to every last one of us. Do not get this confused. But I was having a conversation with the Most High today. You could put it however you want to put it. Thinking to myself. But I was having a conversation with the Most High today. Put it however you want to put it. Praying. Asking for guidance. Put it however you want to put it. And it came to my understanding that, first, God loves all of us, so everybody is blessed. But I'm about to explain something to you. He can only bless you based on what you want and your understanding. So, if you're a person that is, oh man, I wish I had, X. And then when it becomes your time to receive whatever that blessing is that you're wishing that you have, and he give it to you, what was it that you asked for? See, that's the thing that people don't get. God often gives people the thing that they ask for. But since we have a limited understanding of what we need, we're generally wanting things that we shouldn't have. Or we're asking for things that just make our lives more difficult. Let me give you a great example. They have us in the mindset of either wanting public assistance or wanting to get a job. And when I say us, I mean black people. But when you go outside of the black community, they're not talking about public assistance or a job. They're talking about a career. What do you want to be? You see, it's the understanding that the job that you have usually defines who you are. When a police officer isn't in uniform, people still say he's a cop. When a doctor's at a restaurant, he's still a doctor. So they have trained our minds to want to have a job, not a career. So therefore, when you have a career, you have more control over your life. Whereas when you have a job, you're beholden to your employer. So pay attention to what you ask God for. You understand? A woman will say, I've been asking God for a good man, but do you know what comes with a good man? Do you have the slightest idea what comes with a good man? I'm going to tell you a couple of things that come with a good man. Boundaries. You can't wear that, Ma. That's not going to work. Yeah, you can't tell me what to wear. You're not ready for a good man. Hey, we sit around too much. We got to get some exercise 2 to 3 days out the week. I don't want to do no exercise. You should like me the way I am. You're not ready for a good man. Because he just told you, I want you to respect yourself and me when you go outside. And another thing he told you is, I love you and I want you to live and be healthy and have a healthy life. And when he told you both of those things, you heard something different. You heard he's a controller. Just explain it. Dudes would be like, yo, I want a chick that's gonna, sleep with me whenever I want to have sex. But then, when you're not available, she go to the next door neighbor. What then? What then when you have to work extra late at night because you're providing? And she gets lonely because that's her way. What then? You should have asked for a wife. I want a wife. I want 0 other things. If I can't have a wife, I'd rather have nothing. God says in the Bible that he would prefer a man suffer. Well, someone says in the Bible. I forgot who it was. Either Peter or Paul. They had a vision of the future. But it's in the Bible. And they had a vision of the future. And they said that they would suffer, that a man be alone and miserable before he get with a woman that is disobedient, that can't be submissive, that can't follow. And before you say, well, you're just going to be miserable either way. No, because you could be miserable following the Lord. You could be doing what the Lord wants you to do and not doing what the Lord don't want you to do. And it just ain't, it's just not your time. It's just your time to sow rather than reap. And you could be with a woman and she could just be moving you further away from God. So God don't want us in any situation that's going to move us further away from him. Now let's get back to politics. How can you vote for a political party that wants to turn little boys into little girls? We're not even talking about men and women. I'm talking about children. And they want to do this against their parents' wishes because they don't even want the parents to know that it's going on. Imagine somebody giving your child a drug and you don't know about it. And then when you find out about it and you get pissed off, the government say it's okay. What are we really doing? Where's our mindsets really at? How can you agree with that? I need an explanation. Trump signed an executive order making it so that these hospitals can't mutilate children anymore, and the Democrats are fighting to make it so that they can. See, the thing they're not telling you about the self-unaliving rate that's happening inside of the trans community that they're not telling you is these people that self-unaliving is after they went through all of those procedures and their life is miserable now. And they know they can never go back to the way that they were supposed to be. They either chopped off their wing dang doodle, or they took so many drugs it don't work no more, and it's never gonna work again. Or there's some woman and she chopped off her baby fetus. Because y'all looking at breasts sexually rather than breasts as feeding the baby. That's an issue that I have with Democrats. They sexualize everything. Everything is sexualized. That's an issue. Anyway, let's get back to Trump. You're not going to be here too much longer. How long? About 30-something minutes. Let's get back to Trump real quick. The Democrats tell y'all that you have to hate Trump. And I'm just going to list a couple of reasons. Because he's helping to stem crime. He wants to prevent black and brown people from being murdered in their streets by other black and brown people. So y'all hate him. He wants to close the borders, preventing people that are not American citizens coming into the country because they're creating a myriad of different problems along with the crime that they're bringing, because a lot of these people are actually criminals in their rights. I got something to say real quick. Imagine a country telling somebody, imagine Mexico telling all of the homeless people in America to come down to Mexico. What kind of sense does that make? Mexico was just like, just come to Mexico. Y'all can live here. Who you think is going? You think people that got a nice house and a nice business, think they're leaving? This is the part I do not get about the whole allow everybody in. You think the people who are doing great in their country and in their community are the ones that's going to leave? So if Mexico was like, yo, everybody could just come here, you think the people who have nothing is going to go? Or do you think the people who have pillars of their community, the job creators, you think they're going to go? Or do you think the criminals are going to go? The homeless people? The people that heard that Mexico is going to give out handouts, all you got to do is pull up. Who you think is going to go? Now I'm about to hit you in the head. How many of those illegals that came over and got thousands of dollars a month, how many of them you think was sending back a good percentage of that money back to their home country? Thus, effing up our economy. If they could come over here, work a 9 to 5, and send half of that money back, living over here in a 1-bedroom apartment with 8 people, because they're all sending money back to their country, what do you think is going to do when you give them $10,000 a month a piece? See, that's the issue. The Democrats don't want us to have common sense. The liberals don't want us to have common sense. A lot of those protesters are not American. They're from other places and they're just paid. That's it. And even the Americans are just paid. That's it. any of those things that they're doing, four years from now, they're going to be back to work. But you see, during Donald Trump's presidency, they work full time. When the Democrats get in office, they on vacation. I need for you to tell me the last time conservatives tore up a block, rioted, looted. I need to know when was the last time the conservatives did that. Because the liberals are doing that 3 to 4 times a month. Rioting, looting, attacking police officers, attacking ICE agents. They doing that 3 or 4 times a month. Easy. I mean, we could say 10 to 15, but I'm trying to be generous. I look at like, let's say the whole auto pen situation. I can't wait for them to start arresting people on that. The whole auto pen situation. So y'all find out, and I just want to explain how just absolutely corrupt the Democratic politicians are, and how just, I don't know what to call the voters at this point. Some of y'all just hateful, and the rest of y'all just vote because you've been Democrat, so you don't got no choice. You're slaves. Black people we're still just slaves. Not all of us, but the majority of us are just slaves. Democrats could come out tomorrow and say they want to put black people in concentration camps, but they'll dress it up. They'll call it public housing. And black people will jump on it in a split second. Oh, that shit free? Split second. I want our people to stop wanting certain things. I don't want to hear no more about reparations. If they gave us reparations, that'd be great. I appreciate it. Salute. But I don't want to hear nothing about reparations. I don't want to hear nothing about public assistance. I don't even want to hear you're bringing us jobs. I don't want to hear any of that. You know what I want to hear? You're fixing our schools. You're fixing our communities. You're gonna physically clean up the way our communities look. How are we gonna tell kids they could be anything they want to be when we got buildings all over America that look like prisons on the outside? All over America. So they're doing this thing in New York, and it's kind of dope, and I'm pretty sure they were doing it in other places before they were doing it here, but they making the buildings, and they like adding like a lot of color and visual like stuff on the outside of the buildings to make the buildings look prettier, and I'm here for that. What up, Brandon Washington? Salute. Copy. So I'm here for that. Beautify our neighborhoods some. These buildings that look like prisons, they're all over America. I'm not asking for you to tear them down, but could we beautify that neighborhoods that have these buildings? Could we just bring resources to these areas? And just so we could be clear, I'm not talking about handouts, and I'm not talking about jobs. What I'm talking about is, can we set up a mobile medical unit outside of some of these places and just give free healthcare? Let's do that. That's a win. Once a week, we'll have medical mobile medical unit outside of whatever projects once a week. They're going to be there from 8 to 8. And you could go get checked out for free. Those resources. Up to a certain amount of money, they'll give you the medicine. You don't got to pay for it. That, along with medical medicine money, the cost of medicine going down, will benefit us. That's not the kind of stuff that's going to benefit us. Can we go to the youth groups around America? Find out which ones are nonprofit. Help them first. Can we start opening up our schools? What up, Team Moto? Salute. Can we start opening up our schools to feed people when it's not even school hours? During the summer, anybody should be able to go into a school. No, select schools and get a breakfast. And during the winters, during the school year, any student should be able to go to the school to be able to get 3 effing meals. They're going to be there in the morning. They're going to get breakfast. They're going to be there in the afternoon. They're going to get lunch. And they should be able to come back at about 7 o'clock at night to pick up dinner, to eat dinner if need be. Could we do that? That's resources. That's resources. Now, if the other thing that Trump wants to do happens, the Democratic Party is done. Absolutely, they donezo. They're never going to recover. If the other thing that Trump wants to do happens, they're never going to recover. We're literally going to have to another party is going to have to come out of somewhere. Because like I said before, the Democratic Party, their primary way to get elected is because we're in a bad situation as a society. So they promise us things that they never follow through on. Very rarely. But they promise us things, and that's how you get a vote. So, do y'all remember a while back I told you about how Trump wants to use tariffs? He said it, and he doesn't speak about it much, but I believe that is still part of the plan. He wants to use tariffs to fund our society. That's what people don't get. He wants people to receive checks. That's basically the monies that we're getting from the tariffs. Because if we get the money, listen and pay attention. If we get the money that from the tariffs and then disseminate that to the people of America, and then the people of America then go spend that money in whatever their respective area is, guess what's going to happen to the economy? This is the type of stuff the Democrats are fighting against. What do you think is going to happen to the economy? Huh? What do you think is going to happen? We have enough money, right? How many people in America? Hold on. I want to check this out real quick. I forget how many millions we have in America real quick. $340 million people in America, right? So we times that by 1,000, that'll be Whew. Okay, so hold on. How much money has Trump received in tariffs in, let's say, August 2025? Received in August, 2025, right? So, 344.3 billion in revenue. Okay. Billion in revenue, right? So hold on. How many Americans? Do you get it? Do you get it? Brandon Washington says, First T-Moto says, it will start circulating dollars in the economy. Guess what happens when that company that you work for makes more money? Just guess. Brandon Washington said, also just stored a strategic crypto bill that will be holding crypto for the U.S., where they're looking into 121K Bitcoin from a scam they're going to add to our reserve. 14 billion currently? Fam! If our government is making... Ask yourself why the Democrats don't want Trump to give us that money. I need to take a quick commercial break. I want to kind of get some coffee ready for me over here. Y'all gonna have to go hang out with my friend Greg for a minute. Be right back.
So if you are a student between the 8th grade and 10th, 11th, you should be thinking about your future, right? Let me be completely honest with you. Application process, competition level, and all the things that you need to fill out is absolutely brutal. Listen, I understand you're freaking out if you're looking at all the application stuff. I'm here for you. First, you don't want to disappoint your parents. Second, you want to be at the top when compared to your friends because they are your competition. 3, the most important one, how are you even going to afford this? Are you going to be able to afford the loans? Are your parents going to be able to afford it? Are you going to get it done? And finally, to me, the most important, what is it that you're going to do in college? You want to be able to go there and actually enjoy your future. So is it really going to be worth it? Absolutely. Hi, my name is Gregory Adress, and I am a college coach, college advisor, and an educator. Over the last 10 years, I've had hundreds of students just like you get into the prestigious universities like Cornell, NYU, Columbia, and Harvard. Comment education below to get a free checklist from me so it can be an easier process for you to where you want to be. So if you are a student between the 8th grade and 10th, 11th, you should be thinking about your future, right? Let me be completely honest with you. Application process, competition level, and all the things that you need to fill out is absolutely brutal. Listen, I understand you're freaking out if you're looking at all the application stuff. I'm here for you. First, you don't want to disappoint your parents. Second, you want to be at the top when compared to your friends because they are your competition. 3, the most important one, how are you even going to afford this? Are you going to be able to afford the loans? Are your parents going to be able to afford it? Are you going to get it done? And finally, to me, the most important, what is it that you're going to do in college? You want to be able to go there and actually enjoy your future. So is it really going to be worth it? Absolutely. Hi, my name is Gregory Adress, and I am a college coach, college advisor, and an educator. Over the last 10 years, I've had hundreds of students just like you get into the prestigious universities like Cornell, NYU, Columbia, and Harvard. Comment education below to get a free checklist from me so it can be an easier process for you to where you want to be.
Sorry about that. I took a second. I took a second. So apparently, I still had a little bit of coffee in the thing on his, and so I took an extra second. I want to apologize about that. Let me make sure this thing is off. Turn this thing on. Boom. All right, let's get to it. So. Yes. So hold on. So about the crypto thing. So y'all know that they're creating a new form of like currency, like a digital currency, not in America, in other countries. They're creating digital currency, right? I think crypto is being created, or not created, but I think the American government is embracing crypto as a contrast to that. You understand what I'm saying? Because they already was told. I seen something. They was talking about it the other day, and they were basically saying that you're not gonna be able to do anything without a thing put into your hand in order. You're not, and this is like a real thing that they're talking. I remember back in the 90s. Shout out to Timber, shout out to Zig, shout out to my brother Ty. But I remember back in the 90s, we used to sit around and talk about, and we had videos, like we had VHS tapes of people, I don't want to say what people, but CIA tapes of people talking about how they were back then working on the technology that was going to allow for them to implant shit right under the skin. And it's going to be used as an ID and this and this and that, and you ain't going to be able to do nothing without it. That's why I keep trying to bring up, I don't keep trying to actually do, but that's why I keep bringing up the Bible. Because so much that is happening right now. Y'all better get closer to God, man. I'm not talking about that fake closer to God that people get. When they look at the Bible and try to interpret the Bible in a way that fits their understanding of what they want to happen. Trump said something. Let me rinse out this cup real quick. I'm going to tell you what Trump said. Trump said something that was so real the other day. And the reason why it was so real was because I literally said something. I literally said the same exact thing to Coach a while back. Give me a second. So a while back, me and Coach was having a conversation about whatever we was talking about. And during the conversation, I got banana nut muffins in here, and I'm like, I don't know, maybe I should eat one, maybe not. All I had was yogurt this morning so far. I haven't eaten anything solid yet. Ah! Dropped my brownies. Hold on. They're in a container there. Shout out to Pastor Joel, by the way. Also, shout out to Coach. We talking about him. Shout out to Pastor Joel. Incredible guy. Him, his wife, his whole family. Incredible people. So I'm having a conversation with Coach. And during the conversation with Coach, I stopped us in the middle of the conversation to explain to him, yo, look, I'm having this conversation with you, and we're talking about God, and we're talking about the Bible and all this. But understand, I don't know if I'm going to get into heaven. I'm not walking around thinking, yo, I'm doing everything right. I'm blessed. I'm in the heaven. No, I'm blessed, and me getting to heaven, totally different things. Because once you understand that we are all blessed, you just don't know how to talk to God, then it's a whole different conversation. A lot of people just don't know how to interact with the Most High. You understand? I have an understanding of what I think is the appropriate way, and it works for me. You have to find out what works for you. I get it. But the point in which I'm trying to make is, no matter how blessed you perceive yourself to be, that does not mean that you're going to get into heaven. So me and Coach was having a conversation, and I basically was telling him, you look, I don't know if I'm going to get into heaven, but whether I'm getting into heaven or not, I'm still going to try to do the things God want me to do. I'm going to try my hardest to do the things that God want me to do, because this isn't about trying to get into heaven. And I think once we start thinking like that, we start maneuvering and treating people differently. Once your actions is based on an outcome rather than based on the right thing to do, that changes your motivations. People's actions be based on the thing that they want to happen. My actions are not based on the thing that I want to happen. My actions are based on what I believe the right thing to do and what I believe the wrong thing to do and what I am capable of doing. Period. So Trump was asked a question and he said, look, I don't even think I'm going to get into heaven, but I'm going to keep trying to save people, is basically what he said. And I think that is where we should be attempting to be. Because that's humble. It's not humble to walk around and be like, I'm doing everything right, I'm getting into heaven. That's not humble. How are you pretending to know what God thinks? How are you pretending to know what God thinks? I already put the cream and stuff in the cup, so. That's my question. So when Trump said that, what he said, look, I don't know if I'm getting into heaven, man, but I'm doing the best that I can to save people. I don't have time to think about whether I'm going into heaven or not. I'm busy doing God's work. Brandon Washington said, in China, they're looking at a time-sensitive digital yuan. Yuan? I don't know. One of those ways is correct. Brandon Washington also says, they're doing it in Sweden right now. I know someone that has a chip for his work, but he works in one of those big building types. Fam, you're not chipping me. I don't care. I'm not going to be able to buy or sell. Doesn't matter. I don't even have money now. I just live, fam. I don't ask God for riches. I don't ask God for money. When I talk to God, our conversations is completely something else. Y'all busy out here asking for things that's going to bring you servitude. I ask for things that's going to bring me freedom. We are not the same. And that'd be such a long conversation to have that I'm not going to start it right now. But people are out here asking for things that's going to bring them servitude. They're not asking for things that's going to release them from their stress. It's just going to give you different stress. It's going to give you different problems. It's going to give you different issues. You understand? Because that's how Satan works. I can't be a part of any collective. Like, I just can't. I'm too independently thinking. And God made me like that on purpose. God raised me alone. He raised me in a way that made it so that I'm fine with whatever. I'm fine if we're friends forever, and I'm fine if we never talk again. I don't necessarily like that aspect of myself. I think like this shit. I can explain, but I can't explain. But I understand. Because I wouldn't be able to do the things right now that I'm doing if my mindset was different. I prefer to do things by myself. Everything. Dang near. With that being said, having a wife would amplify everything that I'm doing. Because a wife, not a girlfriend. That's what it is, Brandon. Salute. I'm talking about a wife, not a girlfriend. I'm zero interest in a girlfriend. I'm zero interest in somebody who wants to just try to play with me. Zero interest. You can't cook? Are you willing to learn? I'm kind of messy. I need somebody that is not messy, but I'm kind of unorganized. I need somebody that's organized. I'm not looking at your shortcomings. I'm gonna bring everything that I have in me, and I'm gonna hope that it's enough to cover whatever you need. And if it's not, I'm gonna figure it out. Let's get back to politics. It's a shout out to this. This is a honey McNut, banana nut muffin. Apparently, I wanted to warm it up and put some jelly on it, but that's gonna take too long. Some butter and some jelly. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I've been eating yogurt like popping Tic Tacs the last 2 days. I have so much yogurt. I gotta eat the shit. I gotta, part of my language, I got so much yogurt in there. Like, I'm like, God dang it, man. I gotta get rid of this stuff. I gotta eat it. I'm gonna have incredible gut health in any regard. For everybody that don't know, the enzymes in yogurt helps improve your gut health. So that's what that joke was about. In any regard. Got a question. I'm gonna put it in the question. I'm gonna put it up. I'm gonna say liberals. I'm going to tell you something funny. I look down at the keyboard, but I'm literally not looking at the keys that I'm pressing. I'm just looking down at the keyboard to make sure my hands is hovering above the beat. I'm so weird. Like maybe that's how everybody is doing it. Gotta take away one of those words. It's done got enough room. Stop poll. Yeah, I want to know what you guys think. So the poll is: do you think the liberals are wrong about Trump? There's yes, there's no, and then they're just crazy at this point. And I didn't put option for the people who just want to see what people are voting, because I need people to actually, if you're gonna vote, take a stance. So I want to be clear about something. Almost every single thing that the reigning Democratic Party has said about Trump has been wrong. What are we supposed to think about the people who are still saying the lies like they're the truth? What are we supposed to think about them? The Stormy Daniels chick basically admitted that she lied about the grape. The courts have either reversed. The courts have reversed all of the felonies, I believe. Hold on. Let's check. I don't just want to say. Look. It says it has not been reversed. He's currently appealing the conviction. Hold on. Let's go through. Let's see what they're talking about real quick. Conviction upheld. See, but you got to be curious about Google, because for reasons I'm not going to go into it. The trial judge Juan Machon, who's apparently getting in trouble because he's for some other stuff. Unconditional discharge, was sentenced to an unconditional discharge, meaning he received no prison time, fines, or probation. So he was found guilty, but he didn't receive nothing bad happened. They just wanted to have a conviction on the record. However, the conviction remains on the criminal record. The judge stated that that was the most lawful sentence that would not interfere with the powers of the presidency. Appeals in progress. We need to find I don't want to go off of this. This is an AI overview. I don't want to go off of that. The reason why I don't want to go off the AI overview, just so we can be clear, is because the AI is just aggregating information from the internet. So if there's like a ton of lies on the internet, the AI is using that information to aggregate and create this. So let's find something. Look, Jan 10th. Trump gets unconditional discharge on felony hush money. Look, unconditional discharge on federal hush money. Let's go look at. Hold on. So it has not been overturned yet. How much money? So Trump filed a lawsuit against CBS. He won $16 million. Covers legal fees, everything else. Basically, they got sued, and I think this is the one that had to deal with the Kamala Harris interview. when they favorably put Kamala Harris's interview up, taking out stuff and then helping her with her questions and stuff like that. I believe that this is what this is about. Oh man, on this media platform, Trump claimed he will receive an additional $20 million. Look, fam, Paramount, 60 Minutes lawsuit. Let's see what the lawsuit was about. 2 seconds. I think that's what it was about. What the heck? See, and this is what I'm trying to explain to y'all. If you don't know what to put in, you don't know what to type, and if you don't do second and third level researches on things, this is still just first level, by the way. For anybody that's curious, I looked at 2 different things and I put up 2 different, but this is just still first level of research. The second level of research is something else, but this is still just the first level of research, right? So if you're not doing up to second and third levels of research on things, you're not going to find out the right information. But I already knew what it was about, right? So hold on, who else did he sue? I think it was NBC. YouTube to pay $24 million to settle Trump lawsuit. Look, Trump is winning all over the place in the courts. And there's a reason why I wanted to bring that up, right? Trump is winning all over the place in the courts. You want to know why? Because the courts have to go off of actual facts. The courts can't go off of what you think or what somebody heard. The courts have to go off of what could be proven. So that's why every time they go to court and he's suing, he keeps winning. That Juan Machon guy, his day's about to be up. A lot of people about to go to prison. Hold on. I want to show you how evil the Democrats are. What's her name? I always get ready to write Letitia. I spelled it wrong because it's whatever. So this chick right here indicted, right? Let me go over what she was indicted for real quick, and then I'm going to show you something. Just bear with me. I'm going to pull this over there so I can see it. So, 1 tier justice in the U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi. 1 tier of justice, right? Boom, boom, boom. James Comey. Hold on. We could talk about him in a minute. They yada, 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 yada. Let's go. I just want to go to her charges. All this extra stuff I don't care for. I don't really care for all that extra stuff. All right, so boom. MSNBC is just, I don't know what to say about them. Oh man, I wouldn't be surprised if they get pulled off the air by the end of Trump's presidency. All right, the mortgage fraud case against Explain. So let's just go over this real quick. She don't even look trustworthy. I'm just being honest with you. She doesn't look trustworthy. I'm just being honest with you. I know she probably thinks she looks intelligent, but she looks conniving. Hold on, let me put the screen back up. I know she probably thinks she looks intelligent, but she looks conniving. T-Moto says, Supreme Court has to protect the Constitution, which is the ultimate law of the land and the people. That's a fact. But look, she don't look conniving to you. She looks conniving and deceitful. I know she thinks she looks smart here, but that's a conniving, deceitful look in my mind. Anyway, let's read this real quick. A novice prosecutor for the Trump administration this week obtained a grand jury indictment. Oh, hold on. No, fam, I don't want to do any of these things. You know what? I'm just going to go backwards. A novice prosecutor for the Trump administration this week obtained a grand jury indictment accusing Letitia James, the New York Attorney General, who investigated President Trump for financial crimes of mortgage fraud. Mr. Trump last month demanded that Attorney General Pam Bondi find a way to charge Ms. James. I don't like to find a way, whatever. Charge Ms. James and several others for the political adversaries with crimes. Of his political adversaries with crimes. And he pushed out a U.S. attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia who balked at doing so based on the available evidence. So basically, there was evidence that was available, and there was a U.S. attorney, right, who balked at prosecuting her. Didn't want to do her job. She should have been fired. He should have been fired. The president replaced him with Lindsey Halligan, his former personal lawyer, who signed the indictment. So what is the indictment? The indictment says that Ms. James took up to $109,600 loan in August 2020 to purchase a house in Norfolk, Virginia. In terms of her mortgage, required her to use the property as a secondary residence and not as an investment. But it says she never used the house herself and instead rented it out. Because of her alleged misinterpretation, the indictment says Ms. James obtained a lower interest rate and a higher seller credit than her bank was offering for mortgages on investment properties, which would have saved her a total of $18,933 in ill-gotten gains over the life of the loan. So hold on one second. I don't know how to spell her first name. I spell it wrong every time. I'm just gonna spell it the way that I know the t-shirt. I don't know how to spell her name. Whatever. Yeah, it was, right? This was, not were. Oh, Alvin Bragg. Copy. So, 34 felony counts of falsifying business records in the first degree. Prosecutors accused Trump of falsifying business records to conceal hush money payment to an adult film actress, Stormy Daniels, to influence the 2016 presidential election. Okay, that's something else, but I'll explain this real quick. So basically what happened was, Stormy Daniels contacted a Trump attorney and said that she was going to accuse him of rape. Without informing Trump that this was happening, he allegedly paid her off, creating the paper trail. Now, Trump allegedly did not know any of this was happening. So basically, what he was accused of is not using his own money, but using monies that was supposed to go to his campaign. If he would have used his own money, which he did use, then there wouldn't have been any problem. But what he did do was, I'm about to read your comment in 2 seconds, C-Moto. But what the attorney did do was use Trump's personal money. But that's legal. It was only the charge he was charged with and apparently found guilty of was, and this is a civil case, by the way, was using monies that was supposed to be for his campaign, I believe. And look, he was sentenced to an unconditional discharge and is appealing the conviction. Crazy. In the civil case brought by New York, there we go, Letitia James, a judge found Trump and James' organization liable for a year-long scheme of financial fraud. Let's see what they was doing real quick. The lawsuit accused Trump of intentionally inflating his net worth by billions of dollars on financial statements to secure more favorable loans and insurance terms. So he did a thing so he could receive more favorable loans and insurance terms. Let's see what happened to Letitia Wright over. I mean, Letitia Wright. Shout out to Letitia Wright. Letitia James over here. Miss James obtained lower interest rate and higher seller credit. So basically, it's the same damn thing. So this is what I mean by, and I'm about to tell you why the freaking Democrats are so evil. Why in the hell would you go get somebody to prosecute Trump for a charge that they're also guilty of? And I think Trump got his money back already. So hold on. T-Moto says she was bought and paid for. She took the bait. Now she will pay the price. She hunted and now she's the hunter. Straight Gitmo, she goes. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I want them to put every last one of these politicians that committed these crimes in the appropriate place. Jail, not dead. Jail. Let me just say that before somebody says he's trying to. No. I'm in jail. Just so we can be clear. Jail. Prison. We have some votes. We have 4 votes. Do you think the liberals are wrong about Trump? We got 2 votes for yes so far. 50% said yes. 25% said no. And then 2 people said yes. 1 person said no, and 1 person said they're crazy at this point. I think they're insane. I think the people who run the Democratic Party have turned their constituents, the people who vote for them, not their constituents. Everybody that live in there, wherever they're governing at, is their constituents. But turn their voter base insane. I think they've turned them crazy. I've had a couple of conversations with people who, if you talk with them about anything else, they are reasonable and rational. But if you talk to them about politics, it's like they're 3-year-olds trying to explain rocket science. And you just sit there. And then they'll say one thing that's wrong, and and then they'll be like, don't cut me off. And then they'll say like 8, 9, 10 different things that are just absolute insanity. And you're just sitting there. You're like, don't cut me off. And they're just saying things that are just insane. Just hair pull out insane. And you're just looking at them. And then their thing is, they heard it on CNN. They heard it on MSNBC. You talking about the channels that keep getting in trouble for lying? You talking about the channels that keep having to backtrack off of everything that they say? You heard it on MSNBC. The channel one of the channels that said that Trump would never be able to end these wars. He in like 8. It ain't even been a year. He ended like 8 wars. Is it the same MSNBC and CNN? I might be wrong, but aren't they the stations that said that Trump was going to help start World War III? Or they at least had people on their platform that was saying that Trump was going to start World War III. Even if it wasn't necessarily there, you know, as an entity, MSNBC, CNN, as an organization, even if that wasn't their position, they had people on their platform regularly saying Trump was going to start World War III, while at the same time he ended like 8 wars 7 or 8 wars ended. But they still call him a Gestapo. They still say he's Hitler. He's ending wars. I don't think people understand how insane these people are. You're saying that a man that is ending wars is Hitler. He ended the war in the Congo. The Congo was warring with somebody. So he hate black people. So why did he go in that war? Why didn't he just let them kill each other? Just so we could be clear, there was some other people that was warring, fighting each other that were Caucasian. And he literally said, just let them kill each other. But when it came to the Congo and the black people in Africa, he decided to get involved. But he hate black people. So why didn't he just let them kill each other? See how they just crazy. They're just crazy. There's no talking to them. There's no rationale. How is Trump able to go and negotiate with terrorists that are ready to blow themselves up and kill other people, but he can't negotiate with liberals? So people who are ready to put on suicide bomb vests, kill everybody in the radius of that explosion, including themselves, he's able to negotiate with them. But when it comes to the Democratic Party, it's their way or the highway, even though they have no power. They have no power. They have no power. For everybody that don't know, the Republicans can override them with this shutdown. I'm happy that they did not. But the Republicans can override the shutdown. They're just choosing not to right now. Know how I used to always tell you got to let the lie live, man? Because if you shut the lie down too quick, the people who told the lie, it's easier for them to tell another one. You get it? And what happens every time Trump proves the Democrats wrong? What happens every time he proves them wrong? They just don't talk about that subject no more and they bring up another random bullshit. Tell me where the lie's at. So sometimes you have to let the lie live. So recently, Hillary Clinton praised Trump for ending the war. Israel, Gaza. She praised him. I'm going to explain to you why she did this. Besides the fact that somebody probably leaned on her and said, yo, look, we could come after you next. And she was like, you know what? I'm going to go out there and say some nice things about Trump. That could have happened. But I'm going to tell you what's more likely would happen. Or both of these things could have happened. About 10, 15 years from now, do you understand how Gavin Newsom is going to be looked at in history? Do you understand how Kamala Harris is going to be looked at in history? Do you understand how Joe Biden is going to be looked at in history? It's not going to be good. History is going to remember these people as terrible individuals. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. How do you think history is going to remember that guy? So Hillary Clinton ain't stupid. She just wants to be one of the first people to be able to, that history could say she saw the light. When in reality, she understands what's going to happen. They're going to look terrible. That's the reason why Trump is going to put them in jail. So he could erase their legacy, because they tried to erase his. He's going to erase their legacy. Every single thing these people touched is going to look toxic and terrible. People are going to, 20, 30 years from now, people are going to go back, if we're still here, people are going to go back and see some of these interviews and see some of these speeches and listen to some of these things that these Democrats are saying right now. And it's going to sound insane. Remember, the rest of the world, the majority of the planet is on Trump's side. You just don't know that because you watch CNN and MSNBC. Or, the people who watch CNN and MSNBC, they just don't know. The people that watch ABC, they just don't know. The people that watch CBS, they just don't know. The people that watch NBC, they just don't know. I don't know if NBC has a problem with Trump. Do NBC got a problem with Trump? I know ABC do and CBS do. NBC might not have a problem with Trump. Well, anyway, it's ABC or NBC. One of those might not have a problem with Trump. But all of them might. What the hell do I know, right? Bam. This is real poop. I didn't want to curse. I'm so stupid. I didn't want to curse. But this is real. I want Trump to put every last one of them in jail. Every last one of these politicians that wanted to give our money to the illegals. Every last one. Jasmine Crockett, put her in jail. She had, I don't know if she deserves to go to jail right now. But no, she does actually. How did you become a millionaire being a senator, being a House representative, whatever the hell she is? I think she's a rep, right? How did you become a millionaire? Like, a lot of these people were damn near in the negative when they got elected, and now they're worth 10, 20, 30 million? How did this happen? Nancy Pelosi, jail. Jeffries, jail. I promise you, these people are doing so much stuff that we don't even know about yet. That's why they scared. That's why they need you to hate Trump. When Trump fixes the problems in our communities, we'll have no need for the Democratic lies that they tell. The Democrats are always talking about how they're going to fix this and fix that, and then they never get around to it, even when they have the House, the Senate, and the presidency. And for the people that's going to say that's not true, Obama had the House, the Senate, and he was the president. He had it for 2 years. And when they asked him to do stuff for our community, you know what he said? He's not going to do anything only for the black community specifically. You know what Trump says? Trump is like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take all of these monies from these other peoples, and I'm going to. Shout out to Brandon Washington. Appreciate you, Home Skillet. He said, for the support with the $30 drop. Shout out to Brandon Washington. Definitely appreciate you, my brother. You are the man. Salute. So I want to be clear about this. If we was having more fun this morning and it was a less serious thing, I don't know. If we had like 50, 60 people in here, I'd do if we had like 50, 60 people in here, I would do what do you call that? I do the saloon. If we had like 50, 60. I got to get back in the habit of it. But if we have like 50, 60 people in here, I'd do the saloon. All right, with that being said, listen, pay attention. Then the reason being is if we only got 10 people in here, I might be doing the saloon. Maybe 2 people care about it. You understand what I'm saying? So the rest will leave. Then I'm stuck in here with 2 people. Whereas if we got 50, 60 people in here, maybe 20, 30 people might be into it. You understand what I'm saying? So anyway, in any regard. So listen, pay attention. The politicians need for Trump to go away because he's destroying all of the ways that they're able to trick the American people to get elected. If he starts giving money away from the tariff money that he's receiving, and he starts giving a check every month or every 2 months or every 3 months, I think it should be an every 3 month check. I don't think it should be an every month check. I think it should be an every 3 month check. And I think that you take the American people and based on age or name, like, I don't know, however you want to do it. Region, maybe. I don't know. And I think you categorize it so 1 month, right? This category gets it. The next month, this category gets it. The next month, this category gets it. Then that finishes off. Then the next month, this category gets it. Then the next month, and you should just do it like that all the way down the line. Right? Right? And then, this is just what I think should happen. And then, when we get to October, November, December, nobody gets anything on October. Nobody gets anything in November. And on December 1st, you get whatever. Everybody get that. So that's going to make the holiday season insane in America. You get it? Like, so this is how leaders think. How am I going to help the people that's under me be successful? You get it? How am I going to help the people that's under me be successful? What can I do that's going to help my employees be successful? What can I do that's going to help the people who I care about and who it's my job to look after be successful? If you're thinking about, oh, I'm going to give them welfare, that's not helping them be successful. I have a thing, right? I hate putting a Band-Aid on a situation. I just hate it. Sometimes you don't got no choice, just so we can be clear. Sometimes the situation just calls for a Band-Aid because you can't fix it in the moment. It is what it is. But I hate putting Band-Aids on a situation. I want to fix it. I want the problem to be fixed. Screw a Band-Aid. And the reason why I think this is because a lot of times people don't want to fix your problem. They just don't want to hear your problem. So they'll give you a Band-Aid and tell you to get away. But you still got that problem. Now, the problem is metastasized. Now what are you going to do? It's worse. Because you put a Band-Aid on it instead of fixing it. So I'd rather fix something than put a Band-Aid on it. You know what the Democrats love doing? Putting Band-Aids on shit and fixing nothing. I'm going to give you an example. Mondani wants to make the public MTA, our public transportation system here in New York City, free. Okay, so how are you supposed to pay the bus driver? Also, you don't own the MTA. The MTA is not a government organization. It's a privately owned business. So how are they supposed to pay the people who work for them if they have no monies incoming? They're already subsidized. You get it? So forget about that. Our train systems is crap. We have some lines that run great, and then we have other lines that are terrible. So we could just expect for things to get worse because they're not going to be making any money. Okay, let's forget about that. Have you been in the subway system in New York City? You know how dirty it is? Filthy. They need to hire more people to clean. They should be hiring people. Right? We should be putting money into the MTA, not like in the manner in which we're gonna raise fees for the public transportation. I'm saying that the government should just say, we're gonna fix up the fucking platforms. We don't want fare to go up. So the government should just, and this is just my belief, the government should just come in and say, we're just gonna give you X amount of money, and we're not gonna give you nothing, matter of fact, because you guys is terrible with your budget. We're gonna send some we're gonna send some people, and we're gonna fix up the stations. And it's not gonna be this we fixing the station for 6 months BS that go on. For everybody that don't know, they'll be fixing one station for like 6 months. And while you're riding by on the train, it look like nobody's never working. All you see is the construction stuff up. You rarely ever see people. No, we're going to hire a construction company that's going to finish it on a deadline. That energy. So Mandani wants to bankrupt the MTA and New York City, because that's not going to work. What's another thing that isn't going to work? He wants to make free supermarkets. Those don't work, fam. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen when you make a free supermarket. All of the hustling niggas, that the dudes that they know down in their luck, they're going to go take all the food out and go sell it. You know this, right? You're going to deliver food there. There's going to be the homeless people, because I would literally do this. And they're going to be waiting. Many of us would literally do this, because this is smart. They're going to go in there, shopping cart, their own shopping cart, get as many groceries as possible, and then go sell them like at half price anywhere. Only thing it costs you is time. That's it. Nothing else. So Mandani is going to ruin... Well, he's not going to have the chance to ruin. I think if he wins... the government takes over New York City. I think if he wins, the government takes over New York City. That's what I think happens. I think he wins, Trump and the U.S. government comes in and takes over New York City. Because I heard that there's like a thing that they could charge him with. Like he's done something and there's a thing they could charge him with. Also, especially in the Democratic Party, but many of these politicians are criminals, Republican or Democrat or liberal or whatever. Many of these, not liberal, the one that's not affiliated with nobody. A lot of them are criminals. They're human beings. If you could arrest almost anyone, because all of us are doing something at some period during the year that we should not be doing. Every last human being in America. All right? That we should not be doing, whether we know it or not. Every last person. No one is blameless. What we got? We going on 2 hours. I think I'm going to get off. And I love the show this morning. Shout out to T-Motor Productions, Brandon Washington, and Hip Hop. Love. Thank you for coming in here this morning and dropping some comments and going back and forth with me a little on some topics. I love when you guys come in here and talk. The issue is It's not really an issue, but you know, it's easier to have communications with people who aren't liberals. You know what I'm saying? If that makes any sense. Now y'all understand what I've been arguing with all of these years. You understand? Because if you don't think that I'm saying positions over here that there's people that don't want others to wake up to, then you haven't been alive long enough to know anything. We talk about a lot of things over here. A lot of things over here. That don't be surprised if there's individuals that believe that somebody could wake up. You know, not just only entirely with the information they get over here, but you put this information with that information and that information and that information, you wake a couple of these fools up. The wild part is, if you really just sit back and think about how many things that I said that was going to happen that has happened. I told y'all in August, September, that was going to basically be it. That was going to be the point where America was going to understand that the Democrats was going to be at the point of no return. Them niggas cannot come back. And what happened? They said that the Democratic approval rating is down like in the 20s. I told y'all. I said August, September. The Democratic approval rate is like in the 20s. Their approval rating is so low and so dismal. CNN is now starting to report right. That's how bad it is for the Democrats and the liberals. If you really, really pay attention, the main people who keep advocating against Trump is women. You got some men out there, but it's mainly women. Just something to be mindful of. Maybe I should just say what I'm saying. The people, emotional people. They're not having conversations about Trump having to deal with facts. They're having conversation about Trump having to deal with how they feel. Oh, I feel Trump is doing this and I feel Trump is doing that. Well, when we're actually watching, Trump is stopping wars. He stopped about 7 or 8 of them. Know how many thousands of lives was saved? Thousands, tens of thousands, quite possibly hundreds of thousands over a given period of time was saved. There is a depopulation agenda on the planet. Understand, the Democrats don't want those wars to stop. With that being said, I love y'all. Go out there in the world, have a beautiful day, do beautiful things, and make sure that we praise God every step of the way. Like, comment, subscribe. Join the notification gang. Hashtag Bronx Bombers. Let's get it. I love y'all. Take care of each other. Hug the kids for me. I haven't forgotten about you. And that's all I get on this one. I'm out.